Hello and welcome to Dark Alignment Podcast. I'm Brittney.
And I'm Eruca Rose.
And we are a true crime astrology podcast.
Yes, we are.
Confirmed. And we are here bringing you all kinds of good shit. So last time we were here, we covered Gwen Shamblin of Remnant Fellowship, who was a weight loss cult leader. And this cult is still in existence and active in Tennessee. So really interesting story.
I was not expecting that one to be the way it was.
Yes.
But it was something about that one that really caught me off guard, and it was really interesting.
It was full of surprises.
Yeah.
There was a marriage to Tarzan. There was a plane crash. There was a lot of wild things going on in that one. So if you didn't listen to that one, please check it out. We guarantee you will enjoy it. So make sure also that you are liking, following, subscribing, sharing the podcast wherever you're listening. Make sure you're rating us and give us a fucking review, like 5 stars. 5 stars, please. We would love it. That is honestly the only way podcasts gain visibility in the algorithm. You have to have ratings, reviews. Reviews are worth everything, so it does not matter what you put on there. I think last time we asked everybody to just put your mom. Like, we were like, roll call, just write your mom. If you're
One time we asked people to put their Venus signs, and I did see a review with a Venus sign.
Yay! Thank you guys. It just, it really does not matter. Just whatever you say, words, whatever you, just write words.
Just give the color of your favorite flower. I don't want to know what it actually is, but like the color of your favorite flower.
What?
Not your favorite color or your favorite flower, but the color of your favorite flower. That's
what if your favorite flower comes in multiple colors?
Then you have to pick your favorite of the colors.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, I just wanted to understand the assignment. That's it. I needed to know.
Perfect.
So we also have super cool merchandise. We have Dark Alignment custom scented candles by Anastasia Blue Alchemy that are fabulous. They smell great. They're beautifully done.
As they burn, it looks like blood.
Yes, and they are locally made, locally sourced, I believe, maybe, possibly, but definitely locally made by woman-owned business, which is always great to support. So check them out online. They're great. You can also join our Patreon. Patreon has already gotten an exclusive tonight. They got an exclusive last week. They got behind the scenes look at the Sun, Moon, Rising interviews that you've been doing. We have had a blast.
Those have been so fun. So basically, I've been asking people the same 12 personality questions, but you get to know their Sun, Moon, Rising. You know, when you're like out and around and like you know about astrology and you're observing people and you start thinking, oh, I wonder what their whatever sign is. Oh, I wonder what their rising is. I wonder blah, 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 and what they would think compared to this other person. And now this is the perfect mix of, I don't know. It's like that experience, but put in like a little 20-minute interview. And oh my God, eventually it will collect all of the Sun, Moon, Rising combinations. And you'll be able to like listen to another person with your same Sun, Moon, Rising. Like I would totally watch an interview of anybody with my same Sun, Moon, Rising. I mean, obviously Chris Britton.
Yeah,
but I do get to see that. I do get to see that, and I am spoiled. So I want to provide that for everyone else.
That is amazing. Yes, so check those out if you haven't. And those are on your personal channel, correct? Yes. Just Eruca Rose?
Yep. Those are right over there. You can go check that out. And as I get more time, I'm also going to be posting more pick-a cards and all that good stuff too.
Yay. Such a good time. I'm absolutely the biggest fan of the Sun, Moon, Rising interviews. They are great. So you can do all that and join our Patreon at darkalignmentpodcast.com. Not .org, not .edu, not .gov. I know that...
No nets.
No .net. You could really get it twisted. But don't be confused. It's just .com. We're classic. We're keeping it classic. Also, my dream journal and mini guide is available for sale on my website. And readings are available there as well. Actually, I have a copy of it.
We gotta show you this.
So if you are watching on YouTube, you can actually see I got my author's copy of the book yesterday or the
This
day
is the
before.
hardcover. It's also available in paperback.
Yes. So this is so much fun. Shout out to Boudoir by Zane who did this photo. Absolutely loved my photo shoot with Zane. So check that out if you are interested. We have all the info about that. So
it's the perfect Pisces Virgo book, is what we were saying.
It is. It's basically, because I do dream analysis readings, it's me teaching you how to do a little bit of that yourself, how to decode your own dreams. Great for beginners. If you don't know anything about dreams, this is perfect for you. If you're somebody who's really interested in dreams, but you've never really gone to the next layer, this is perfect for you. Excellent resource.
Perfect bedside book where you can like jot it down. There's a huge journaling section. Jot down your dreams as soon as you wake up or as you're dwelling on them, and then you get to reference the beginning guide. It's so great.
Yep, just a nice little resource to have to kind of help promote remembering your dreams and learning to kind of pick them apart and get those messages out of there. So
there's so much magic you can do with dream work. It's so great.
Much.
Especially right now with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction.
Yes.
And we have eclipses coming up.
Speaking of, you do eclipse readings.
We've got eclipse readings running right now on my website. I'm doing those. I try to do them for every eclipse season as long as I'm not too busy. The April eclipse, I believe, is fully booked. But the next upcoming eclipse in May 15th, you want to get that now so you can get the reading done before it fills up.
I'm excited. This will be my second time to get an eclipse reading, and I'm super pumped. Like, they're always so good, and I need to go back and listen to my old one.
We both had major changes last year.
Oh my gosh,
on the spring eclipses.
Huge.
Yeah.
So,
and those eclipses run in like 6-month cycles, and then that kind of repeats over like 2 years ish. So I actually look back at the previous eclipses as well as the current eclipse on your chart, and you get to look at all the interactions and potentials for you.
So I think that's all the announcements we have. Anything else that you got going?
Always buy stickers.
Our stickers are great. Like, they're super inexpensive. You can put them on anything. You can have "Let's chart this bitch" all over your personal items, which is a good time. And people be like, what does that mean? I get asked about it a lot, especially like I have one of my coffee mugs that I use at work. So that's a fun thing.
Also, I'm kind of curious. I'm sure you already have an opinion, but I'm kind of curious if anyone would prefer, if we got into merch clothing, they would prefer like hats or shirts first.
I feel like shirts are probably a bigger one, but hats are so cute.
Hats are so easy accessory, so cute. You know?
Embroidery is a whole other ballgame, though.
I know.
I worked in that type of marketing for a very long time.
You know all about this.
Yes,
stuff. I want to hear what their opinions are.
But we will give you what you
want.
Give
me some comments.
That's the thing.
Give me some comments about what you are dying to wear.
Yeah. Would you like a hat, a shirt? Personally, I like hoodies and sweatshirts. But we are approaching like warmer season, so I don't know. Something to think about.
I'm cold all the time.
That's true. A lot of us are cold all the time. It doesn't matter. So, and then here it can be like this morning it was hot and rainy, and now it's like sunny and cold. So, the weather shifts drastically. It's good to have a hoodie laying around. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. This is season 3, episode 10, and we're going to be covering the astrology of Anna Delvey / Anna Sorokin. Anna Sorokin being her real name, Anna Delvey being a name she made up entirely. I feel like I want to call her Anna Delvey because it's kind of just like, why not?
I'm used to it.
She's embodied it.
Yeah.
Like, sure, whatever. I will call anybody what they want to be called, pronouns, names, or otherwise. If you prefer to be called something, I'm going to respect that.
Doesn't bother me.
Don't care.
I'll call you what you want to be called.
Even if you're kind of an asshole, I'm still going to like call you what you...
They're acting like an asshole.
I'm just kidding. Behaving.
It could be one.
The behavior indicates
as
asshole.
a kid, to get around like insulting people directly, I would say, instead of being like, you're such a bitch, like I would say, you're acting like such a bitch. Like,
it's not you.
It's not a direct insult. It's not who you are, but like you're kind of.
It's not you. It's your
portraying that character right now.
It's your behavior. That's the problem. Not so much you, but how you are right now. Like,
right.
You in this moment.
I know you don't identify as a bitch, but like. It's kind of seeming like it right now.
From an outside perspective, let me just tell you, this is a bitch behavior. This is bitch behavior. Okay, so I'm going to start with my sources. And I have not been doing the best job lately of keeping it all straight because I kind of go too hard after a while. But definitely watch the 2020 special, The Sinfluencer of Soho, which I thought that was really funny. Sinfluencer. And that is an interview directly with Anna herself. So it's really interesting to watch. 2020 is my absolute favorite show. So I get very excited when new episodes come out. I got to rewatch this one. I had seen it months ago, but I was like, I get to rewatch 2020.
Yeah.
Love it. Wikipedia is always a great resource. So please donate to them. They're a nonprofit site. So to keep it up and running, I make an annual donation. I encourage everyone else to do so as well. If you use that platform just to keep it alive, we want it. I can't solely keep it running with my $20 a year donation. I'm not made of money, y'all. I need help. And so does Wikipedia. Excellent Wikipedia plugs. Inventing Anna, of course, is the Netflix series all about her.
Have you seen it? Comment.
Have you seen it?
Let us know.
So the main reason that I watched it was the last thing I did for research. So I did all my other things and I was like, now I'm going to kick back and I'm going to just enjoy the shit out of this Netflix series. Because I wanted to see what everybody else knew about her. I knew what I had learned from all of my research and from watching interviews.
The legit resources and then the dramatization.
Right. I wanted to kind of see, and I loved the way they presented the information where they said, this is a true story except for all the parts that are made up. They said that so many times. In some words, I might be botching the quote, but I thought that was really funny. It made me laugh every single time that it said it, because that is truly what's going on here. And they really did keep it. The only thing is, it's got a certain perspective.
Yeah.
That is really, you could spin the story a lot of different ways, and we're going to do that as we discuss. We're going to look at it from two different points of view, which is going to be kind of a good time. Also, her 60 Minutes interview was pretty interesting. I watched a ton of interviews, and what's so fascinating to me is she will answer the same questions entirely differently in different interviews.
I noticed that. Because I was trying to kind of... I got excited after I watched Inventing Anna, and I was like, I want to see her actually talking. Yeah. And then I was like, what?
First of all, they didn't nail her accent because it's so weird. It's just so hard to place.
She did a great job.
The girl who played her, I wish I had put her name down because she did phenomenal, and I really enjoyed her portrayal.
She did great.
Yeah, she did great, especially with the accent that I feel like was so hard to nail, but she did nail it, and there's an arrogance to it that is just so funny. So overview, you guys already know who she is. I mean, if you don't, then great, welcome. We'll get you caught up because everybody's been fascinated with her. She's basically a wannabe socialite. She conned the highest status social circles into believing she was this German heiress worth millions of dollars. And she did this for a 4-year span. So from 2013 to 2017. So this was kind of a whole thing that she made up. She was also known as the Soho Grifter. That was one of the aliases they gave her, which I don't feel like that's too relevant.
I don't like that.
I've heard it multiple times, and it's I don't really.
She doesn't feel like a grifter.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. It's weird. So we'll go ahead and jump into her young life. So she's a young person in general. I think she's one of the youngest people we've covered on the podcast. I was trying to think if we've covered anybody. I mean, other than Morgan and Nick.
Especially when this stuff was going on.
Right.
If she was younger. Because now she would have been in her 20s then. Now she's 31.
She's, yeah. So Anna was born January 23rd, 1991. And she was born in Moscow, Russia. So she's of German heritage, actually. So she is legitimately German and did spend time in Germany, but when she was growing up, her father was a truck driver. Her mother owned a small convenience store. Very middle class upbringing. Not an heiress at all. Definitely not poor, impoverished deeply or anything. They just seem like a working class, normal family.
She does have her South Node in Cancer, so it's kind of like a homier, nurturing, homey vibe.
And she was an only child for the first 13 years of her life. So she identifies, she says this in interviews, I identify as what is the word she uses? She doesn't say only child. she says something different that's kind of funny because I'm an only child, and I was like, I want to start saying that, like solo child or something. She framed it really funny. I wish I would have written it down. I heard her say it and was like, that's great. Stealing it.
I was like, I don't think I can Google that.
Yeah.
Come up.
No, I heard her say it in a verbal interview. So, but in 2007, when Anna was 16, her family moved to Germany. Her father became a fancy corporate executive at a transportation company. I'm assuming that's like logistics, which is interesting. So he was in trucking already. So this would be like a pretty similar industry. Then he opened up an HVAC business specializing in energy efficiency, and that's what he still does to this day. He works in like solar energy.
Oh, cool.
So, and then her mom works alongside him now, which is pretty interesting. So solar energy is a progressive type thing to get into. I think that's probably a cool...
Might be different in other countries. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of like really taking off here. Like solar energy is becoming really big in the States, and people are starting to understand the benefits, and it's more popular, especially like commercial buildings.
I've got solar.
Yeah. I got...
tried.
Yeah, I don't have enough sunlight on my house. They told me that I was not a good candidate. Also, my electric bill was too low to justify like the not enough sunlight, so... There's that. It was kind of
doesn't use electricity. It's fine.
I really don't. I like all my lights to be off. You can ask any of my coworkers. They call my office my lair because it's like very dim lighting, and that's how I like it.
That's beautiful.
I don't enjoy light.
I like dim lighting too.
It's a thing. So yeah, it's important to kind of think about the fact that her family is really resourceful. I think that makes sense with her con life. Like she's watching her parents be very adaptable. We're moving. We're going to just change this. We're going to jump into this industry. We're going to kind of, it doesn't seem like it's huge disruptive things. They seem like they are highly adaptable to all these situations. And so, you know, that's kind of something she's learning and leaning into. Her mother was a housewife, you know, around this point too. So it's pretty relaxed. Anna attended the Episcopal School of Our Lady Eschweiler, which is a Catholic grammar school. That sounds really, really intense and strict and rigid. So her classmates said that she was quiet. She struggled with the German language because she's a teenager trying to learn a new language, which is extremely difficult. There's a sensitive period for language acquisition, and it happens during the first 7 years of life. And there's different stages of it. So there have been a lot of really cool cognitive studies about this, and a really sad story about a little girl who was abused and never was exposed to language. And they could not teach her language as a 14-year-old. She was literally living in a cage, and she was unable to learn the human language entirely. It was all jumbled. So she's the only like case study because that's not okay to do, but she just happened to be a unique situation.
I've seen a video about her.
Oh my God, it's so sad. In school, we watched lots of videos about her. But very fascinating to learn about that critical period for language acquisition. So it makes total sense that she's going to struggle learning a new language as a teenager. But she did develop some significant interests that play into her desire to live like an heiress. It almost feels like she's escaping into this kind of fantasy life. Like she's not super social, not fitting in. She was always described as quirky. She's not really, jiving with her classmates the way she maybe wanted to. But as a young adult, she obsessively followed publications like Vogue and fashion blogs, and she really loved all these different accounts on LiveJournal and Flickr that were fashion related. So super into aesthetics. Then after she graduated in June of 2011, Anna moved to London to attend Central St. Martin's, which is an art school. So she did have an interest in art.
Wow.
So, but she dropped out pretty quickly. She went back to Germany. In 2012, she briefly interned at a PR firm in Berlin. So I'm sure she picked up a lot of like little tips and tricks about public image there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like the perfect environment for her to learn how to blend and learn how to do these things. So that's significant. Then she moves to Paris. Fashion, obviously, is the motive for that. She got an internship at this magazine called Purple. So it's a French fashion magazine.
Wow.
And she was making about 400 euros a month, which is only 524 American dollars. That is not very much.
Whoa.
For a month? Like, that's some bullshit. That is not enough. And And even though Anna didn't really talk to her parents very much at this point, they still paid her rent. Like, they still paid everything that she couldn't afford because she just simply was not making enough money, and they were helping her out. So even though her parents are like honest working class people, like they're still shelling out money to their child to like fund her life and her dreams and the things she wants to do. And I feel like that's a really nice thing for your parents to do, especially if you're not even close with them or talking to them very much, or, you know, coming home to visit or being involved or calling. So that's interesting.
It is really interesting.
And this is also around the time where she became Anna Delvey. She really learned that she needed to appear more German. And this is very common for immigrants as far back as you go in history. Like, you look at Italian families who would move to America and they would shorten part of their last name or cut off part of their last name to try to Americanize themselves and acclimate more easily. This is not new. This is very, very, and nobody considered those people necessarily con people.
Right. You have to kind of rebrand yourself to fit in where you're comfortable. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love rebrand. She is the queen of the rebrand.
She's pretty much marketing herself differently, is what it seems like. So.
Yeah, so she rebranded herself as Anna Delvey. And this is what's so interesting is because she initially claims it was her mother's maiden name. Her parents deny this. They say it's not a recognizable name anywhere in their lineage. They threw her under the bus. It's just kind of funny. But later in another interview, when they asked her the exact same question, she said, I just came up with it. So this is what I mean. Like, sometimes she'll tell you one thing, and then other times she'll tell you the exact opposite. Like, no, it's a family name. It wasn't made up at all, with a straight ass face. Okay. And the next time she's like, I made it all up.
You want to know on her chart what's
please.
going on?
Please, that's
like
perfect.
While we're talking about it.
Look where we just are getting...
well, this will also tie into this next section, which is titled Manipulation.
It's perfect that you came in the minute that I was like switching sections. So this was perfect chart cue. I was going to ask you to do it. We're vibing.
We're getting in sync with the new format.
We're feeling
let's go.
This energy, this Anna energy. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
I'm so excited. Let's go. Let's chart this.
I think
bitch.
this will also play into that. But her Mercury placement is in Capricorn conjunct Uranus conjunct Neptune. So there's a lot of this like Neptunian veil going on, some of this sporadic, like individualistic, like unpredictable Uranus energy on how she communicates and thinks and plans.
All right.
So with what she says when she activates that Mercury placement, there's going to be this unpredictable kind of elusive quality to how she speaks.
It's definitely there. It's really funny.
Like, she might say one thing, but it'll sound a certain way, and then she'll say something and it'll sound a certain, like, it'll kind of blend but not be the same. Like, it could be anything.
Super on brand.
Yeah. So I feel like she's probably pretty comfortable switching things up and like labeling things differently and talking about things differently.
And she does it so confidently no matter how she answers. Yeah.
Is very... like, it's hard to question people with a lot of Capricorn placements sometimes because they're just so like rigid and stern. Like, they seem solid like, with what they're saying and thinking, or it depends on where their placements are.
It feels very concrete. Like, she's like, no, this is it.
Like when my double Capricorn sun talks.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and how he approaches the world. Like, it's hard to question him sometimes, and he's 6.
He's very he makes some very profound statements. Very direct.
Yeah, very direct, very solid with what his existence is.
I love that kid. He's great.
No doubts. No doubts.
That is how she comes off. Like, not unsure of herself in any way. Very interesting.
Capricorn can be very confident like that.
Do you have any other thoughts on anything we talked about so far with her young life? Because we're about to move into
she does have Chiron with Chiron conjunct her South Node. We don't have houses for her chart, unfortunately. But with Chiron on her South Node, I feel like there's definitely some stress related to her background. And it'll probably be, well, it always is something with trauma cycles, like how it kind of comes up over and over. Like, it feels like it does have to do with how she was brought up and like not like having a home the same way that she wanted to, or that like a normal person might. Kind of Chiron in Cancer is very like some kind of issue with the mother, issue with the home. I can't be too much more specific, but it seems like that kind of theme comes up a lot for her throughout her life, especially with how she feels like she has to kind of deny that she was from where she is, and she had to change, like she had to kind of like try to associate it with it less, or think that it's not good, or
so I kind of identify with this to some degree, like wanting to escape your past, and I have my moon in South Node, so I feel like it maybe functions a little similar. I feel like I really understand her energy here of
you can feel into South Node stuff,
right? Like when her past comes up, it's like a trauma trigger for her because she's trying to get away from that. She's trying to reinvent herself. She's trying to rebrand herself. And every time that comes up, it's like taking away from her rebrand. It's like, no, you're using the wrong logo again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's how it is.
Because her, the way it lays out is rather than like the Pisces escapism stuff, she's like trying to build her way out of it.
Yeah.
It's like trying to, like if you were kind of like in a swamp, you're trying to like build a tower, like for you to get yourself up out of the swamp. Like she's working on doing that, and then it's her North Node cusps Aquarius, so it gets a little bit more on this like edgy kind of vibe, but it's still Capricorn. Her moon is also square the nodes. Ceres is square the nodes. So there's a lot of comfort issues, a lot of emotional security issues with this. Like it does. It's a Grand Cross on her chart. While I've talked about her chart so much, I want to give people her general placements.
Oh yeah, we skipped right over that. But I mean, we were talking about a specific area of life. But yeah, let's give
might as well let them know.
General charting of the bitch. Let's go. Generic chart bitch time.
But is she a bitch, or is she just acting? No, I'm just kidding.
You know what?
I'm just going to keep playing into that joke.
I'm going to start now saying, instead of let's chart this bitch, let's chart this person who's acting like a bitch. That's our new tagline for this podcast. What do you think, guys? Is it roll up? No?
It's real touchy.
No. Okay. Anyway.
So her sun is in Aquarius. It's in the beginning of Aquarius. Her moon is on the cusp of Aries and Taurus, like literally, if she's born before noon, it's in Aries. Born after noon, it's in Taurus.
I feel like she's got the murder moon, if you
really?
ask me.
I'm voting Taurus because of the luxury, wanting that kind of like, it's like a grounded thing. I don't feel as much fire with her, but she does have Jupiter in Leo and Lilith in Sag. Okay. So I could see like growth and self-empowerment being fiery, but like I think with her like deep emotional wants and like security and like
I can see that
feelings feel Taurus-y.
I can see both. The reason that I'm going more with Aries is because she is so like aggressive. She's so aggressively going after everything she wants, and when she needs to be fierce, she's fierce as fuck. And she's like
yeah.
It's really like she can really make people stop questioning her. Like she really has this softened power. So I don't know. It would
see that's how that's what I feel like Taurus with the softened power. Like people are questioning. Yeah. And then she has the other fire placements that are really in power. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, but I love speculating.
She could just be right on the cusp and kind of have a nice little blend,
She is very blended. Her sun and moon feel like they.
She's on the cusp for both her sun and moon, and then we don't have a rising. I did see people speculating that she was a Pisces rising.
I was gonna guess Libra. Because she comes off pleasant still. Like after all, like the kind of harder aspects of her personality, people are still intrigued and think she's pleasant and interesting. That it's like she can say this like kind of asshole stuff, and people are still like fascinated, and it feels really Libra rising to me. I don't know. I literally was like scrolling through, and it was even a Reddit post, and I was like, people were just saying everything. Anna, what is your rising sign? I feel like she would watch this. I don't know. I feel like she'd be really interested to see what people would say about her.
On her noon chart, for anyone interested, she is like at the end of Taurus on Placidus. So,
it's pure speculation, but it is fun to talk about why we think. And what do you guys think? Like, give us your thoughts after you've watched all the things and seen all the stuff about her. What are you feeling for her moon sign? Do you feel it's a little more Aries, a little more Taurus, and why? We'd love to hear your perspectives. I think that's so fun. We're all just sussing her out right now. I hope that she comments on this video and drops that birth time. Girl, drop it down. Drop it down.
We need the birth time.
We need it. We want it.
I did have another thought on her. You were talking about her. I guess you already asked me about her upbringing, but let's circle back for a second. Her Mars. It really popped out at me when you were talking about how she learned to be adaptable, like take different actions with kind of what was making sense at the time. Her Mars is in Gemini.
I knew it. I knew she was going to have a really strong Gemini placement somewhere.
Like that's how she takes action.
Yeah.
And there's a grand trine. There's a trine up to her Sun and North Node. Saturn is also there. And then there's a trine over to her palace. And there's a sextile, obviously, then to her South Node and Chiron. Like her Mars placement, her taking action the way she does is a huge benefit to her and her life. So, and her moving forward in life.
And she's still like really leaning into it. We'll talk about what she's doing now much later. But yeah, she's still... like, nothing really knocks her down. It's kind of...
yeah, like, she can just switch it up.
Yeah.
Like, she can just, it's really with the like, being able to stick with the moment, but also plan ahead.
With Capricorn confidence. It's crazy.
Witty. You know, like, there's kind of, like... but, like, I don't know how to say you're witty in the way you take action. How would you say that? Like...
I think that's the perfect way to say it. Like,
yeah.
She's strategic and she's seamless. Like, she's just like, oh, okay. Like, I'll just do this now. It's impressive. Like, you know, it's almost a shameless attitude, which I really like about her. There's a lot of things I don't know how I really feel about her from one moment to the next, because like everybody else, I'm fascinated, but obviously she's done some like real not nice stuff, but she's just like, I don't know, her ability to do all of this is, and continue to be of interest, and her popularity is only growing. It's only helping her be more successful.
Yeah,
like
that building, I think, is really representative of the Saturn on her North Node, where you can kind of look at that in multiple ways, but growing, building something, it's in its own sign of Capricorn. So as she moves through life, she's going to kind of build more and more of this empire. It also can be like, you know, show how good she is at... very like structure oriented, very discerning. She's able to work with the rules or kind of work around with the rules. You know what I mean? Like, but you have to really understand the rules to bend them, to just slide between them. Yeah. I think that shows how her sun is right over the line in Aquarius, where like her North Node and Saturn are kind of like, you get this blend of like using and building the rules and the structure of everything, but also kind of like innovating and like using her idealistic nature to kind of make it work. Yeah. In a different way, not the traditional way. The Saturn can also put heavy limits and restriction on her self-expression and her life path. So I think whenever she has like a big hindrance on what she wants to do, which I'm sure we'll hear more about. Yep. It's probably going to be some kind of transit hitting with her Saturn and that Grand Cross. Because that's a big one.
That's fun. Are we wanting?
Yeah, tell me. Go ahead. Go. I want to hear this next section.
Okay, so here we are. Let's go back to where we are in time. So just finishing up this internship, making $524 American dollars a month. It's kind of shitty. Living in London. Well, she moves to New York City because that's what you do when you want to reinvent yourself. It's a great place to do it. She was done living in Paris, done being an intern. She didn't have a job or anything. And whenever she moved to New York, she was able to use some really deceptive tactics to convince everyone around her that she was very wealthy. So this is where it really ramps up. She basically woke up one morning, decided to be someone else, and she did it successfully. Like, she really, really did. Had she not tried to do some of the major, like, loans and shit that we'll get into later, she would have just successfully lived this whole fantasy out. So it's fascinating. And one of her most famous moves was giving people $100 tips. So cab drivers, wait staff, hotel staff. She always made sure that she did this around other people. that they saw these big grand gestures, and it was like a big display. Feels very Leo. Feels very displaying.
Jupiter.
Yep. It's very big.
Jupiter, Leo.
Grandiose. It's all for show. So yeah, very interesting. She was also really active on social media. So her profile, her online persona helped give her some credibility that she was who she claimed to be. So she posted pictures of herself eating in these fancy 5-star restaurants, on these private jets, in these cool, like, exclusive places.
Yeah.
So it just solidifies this identity that she is trying to build and create. So after she got that all established, she decided to kickstart the big con. And there's something about her. This is so interesting. I listened to a lot of the descriptions. I actually made a list of everybody who was interviewed and all the things they said about her, and I blended it into this paragraph.
I'm so ready.
Here is what they said. Offbeat, quirky, but someone you wanted to watch. She knew how to make the right people feel important. She was intriguing. She drew people in somehow, and it was how she presented herself. Her clothes, she was confident. She was fierce. She pretended she had a lot of money, and she really did live this lavish lifestyle. She was living in all these hotels. Like, she was doing all of these things. There was no reason to question her, and no one is really sure how she did this, like how she floated it all. She always picked up the tab when she went out with her wealthy friends. So it was almost like she blew every bit of money she could in a showy way just to convince people, and everything else was like debt accumulating. So I don't really know how she did this, because some people were saying they really did get paid.
Yeah.
You know, so it's interesting. There's mixed reviews, and nobody's really questioning her. So she decides to start the art foundation, the Anna Delvey Foundation, and people were gladly like on board to like support her in this project.
Like exciting.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
So next section is called Using and Abusing. This is where things get a little iffy with some of the behaviors, where she starts to really take things a little too far. Like we mentioned, she used her fake heiress status to gain trust of wealthy socialites and investors and bankers and all these very important people. So she made sure they were her friends, they were her close inner circle, and then she would start to like take advantage a little bit. And here's the biggest person that you would see in Inventing Anna, which is Rachel Williams, the fashion editor, or she was photography editor for Vogue magazine. So this is what blew the lid off the entire thing. The reason that we all know Anna Delvey's name is her friendship with Rachel. So as they became closer, again, this woman doesn't know who she is exactly, and like everyone else, she's intrigued. She has this rich friend who pays for everything. So it's like you can kind of play devil's advocate here, because you can look at it like she was just fascinated and really had all these good intentions, and like, oh, her generous friend's just paying for everything and saying, I've got it, I'm covering it. Like, come on this trip with me, I'll pay. But there's also the other side of it where, and this is very portrayed in Inventing Anna, where Rachel is portrayed as more of a blood-sucking type friend, where she's mooching and she's just along for the ride and wants to have a wealthy friend and is like, oh, my friend pays for everything, I'm just gonna hang out with her, like kind of like buying her friendship. So
it's interesting.
It does seem that they had a genuine relationship when they were friends, but we got to look at her as a person who's also like really trying to climb the social ladder too, and she found a perfect way to do it by being friends with this girl who just like pays for all her stuff, you know. So it's like, who's using who? Are they mutually using each other? It's probably a little bit of both, but you know, it's either side could really play victim, and that really showed up in court, and that showed up in a lot of their interactions, and it's an interesting dynamic, and you could really take either side and do it pretty comfortably. So interesting stuff. So because Anna was supposedly a German citizen, she would have to travel home every 3 months to renew her visa. And this is not actually true, but it gave Anna a reason to travel all the time. Oh, I have to travel for this reason. So on one occasion, the one I talked about, this is the infamous story where she suggested that Rachel go with her along with her personal trainer and one other friend. And they were going to go to Morocco and stay in this luxury hotel that is $7,000 a night to stay in this suite. That is insane. I can't even imagine. So she also invites a documentary filmmaker to follow them on this journey to talk about the art foundation. So she's using it as like business tool, which could have been a write-off. Had she really like
I'm
already...
not sure how she did her taxes. Also, she was not a citizen, so I don't know.
Yeah,
it's complicated.
But if it were that, like, you know, she legitimized her business. This trip with the photographer.
We've been thinking a lot about taxes, guys.
Can you tell? It's tax season. Also, April 15th is deadline. You're cutting it real close, you guys. You got like 2 days. By the time this comes out, it will already be too late. You'll have to file an extension. Anyway, so the thing about this, like we already said, Anna offered to pay for everything up front. Told Rachel, come along. I'm footing the bill. No problem. Like, you're going to get to come on this whole trip. Well, there's a problem with her credit cards. They didn't get one when she checked in. This happens a lot. It actually made me think of the movie White Chicks with the Wayans brothers. You might be too young to have seen that. It's ridiculous.
Or I forgot about it.
It's super funny. It's a good time where the Wayans brothers play these two, like they impersonate two socialite heiresses that are rich white girls. And
you showed me a clip of this.
There's a scene where they go into a hotel and they're like, the people ask for their credit cards and ID and they only have themselves as like... you know, not these girls, and they cause a big scene, and they're like, credit cards, ID, like, and it's kind of this whole, do you know who I am? And I can only imagine that that's an easy thing for someone with a lot of money to do, and the hotel staff doesn't want to upset that person, so they don't want to ask. And this was shown in Inventing Anna. It just reminded me of that movie, which was really funny. But, you know, so she doesn't have a valid credit card. The bill is racking up. They're saying, okay, like, we'll let you stay another night, but, like, we need some form of payment. Like, nobody's leaving until we get some form of payment. And, of course, you know, Anna kind of looks at Rachel and is like, hey, you know, can you just put yours up? Like, I'll pay you back. And why would she think that Anna couldn't pay her back? You know, she's seeing all this money. So she's like, okay, you know, she didn't feel great about it, but she still offered up her own personal card and her company, like, corporate credit card. And 100% of the charges were put on those cards. It was exceeding $62,000, which was more than Rachel says she made in a year. And she was not getting the money back. Really fucking bad. Corporate card is a big deal. Like, you can't put personal shit on a corporate card. Risking her job. She can't pay her bills. She's freaking out. Anna's avoiding her. All sorts of things. Rachel starts to realize she was kind of fucked at that point, because Anna was like, oh, I'll pay you through Cash App, and she had a $5,000 transaction, but of course it didn't go through. You can't do that through Cash App.
No, like, you can't do that kind of thing.
So it was flagged, of course, and I don't know. It's kind of like, do you think that... Tell us what you guys think about this. Do you think Rachel is wrong for thinking she could go on this trip without paying a dime? Or Anna is wrong for saying, hey, it's free, and actually knowing... I don't know if she knew she couldn't afford it, because she could always afford
there's
things.
too many unclear details, I feel like.
I still want opinions. I still want to hear, what do you guys think? Because we can't prove what was really going on, and proving intent is one of the most difficult things ever. Like, and in court... we'll get to this later, but Anna was found not guilty of any extortion against Rachel specifically. She was convicted of several other charges, but that was one that she was found not guilty on. So, very interesting. But, you know, in interviews, Rachel says things like, I wish I had never met her. She ruined my life, da-da-da-da-da. I don't know how I feel about that, because... her credit cards were all wiped clean. She's done nothing but profit from this story. She didn't pay a single penny. She still filed a police report and started telling this story to everybody who would listen and trying to expose Anna. She now has a best-selling book about it all too. So she's done nothing but make a shit ton of money from this happening to her, and she didn't have to pay back those credit card charges. So it's interesting. They both profited from it.
Very interesting.
But it's interesting to think about kind of that whole aspect. Still, all this made Anna a media sensation. It's a huge scandal. The fake German heiress. Like, the craziest part to me is Anna's narrative about it all. When asked directly if she's living a lie, she says no. And it's odd, because she went as far as forging a ton of legal documents to try to obtain bank loans to fund her lifestyle, and supposedly eventually opened, like, her arts foundation. Like, that's her whole goal here. But
that's not the way she thinks about it.
She's gaslighting her way through life. Like, she's literally just gaslighting herself and everyone around her. It's just crazy. Like, literal fraud, but like, no, I'm not. I don't understand.
I feel like the way where her Mercury is, I feel like that's just not how she thinks about it. Like
genuine. You think it's genuine?
Partly.
That's
partly.
where
I think she can. I think she's smart and can also acknowledge that it's really something. But like,
Okay.
like the way she processes it.
So it's not. The question isn't is she genuine or calculated. It's a fact that she's genuine and calculated.
I think
like
so.
she believes it and she's like smart about it.
She's so passionate. Yeah, I feel like
Wow. It's not an or. It's an and.
I think it's an and. If you are in Northwest Arkansas and looking for affordably priced photography and videography services, then you should definitely reach out to Nice NWA.
Yes, you should.
With photo sessions starting at $100, now is a great time to update your company's headshots, get graduation photos, new family pictures, and more. Looking for video work instead?
Yes, videos start at just $300 and are a great way to boost your marketing engagement online with current customers and potential new customers. It's also a great way to create highlight reels of your next event or just to tell your story in an exciting and creative way. Nice is not just locally owned and operated, but is also a certified minority and veteran-owned business that started right here in Northwest Arkansas in 2017.
So, go check them out on Facebook or on Instagram at NiceNWA or by visiting their website at nicenwa.com. With all her manipulating and all of that, there's a couple placements on the chart we can look at to look at that. Like, we can look at to look at that. We can look at this to look at this.
Well, look at this to look at this. Perfect. I get it. I understand.
Y'all get it. You get it.
You get it.
So, Lilith is one of those placements. It usually shows how you empower yourself, get yourself out of situations. Like, it also has a lot of sexuality tied to it. It has a lot of kind of this edgy, like I'm gonna do what I need to do to make this happen, even if it's bad. Even if I'm manipulative, I'm gonna make it happen. So this can also kind of show the way that you manipulate people and energy, that kind of vibe with Lilith. Hers is in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is this fiery, kind of wildfire type of sign, ruled by Jupiter, like very like kind of lucky. Like she can kind of just ride with the universe to like let something come back around for her, up for her. Like it's almost like I just got this image in my head of like a tightrope walker, and then like the ones on the cartoons where like they would fall. Maybe, I don't know if people do anything like this in real life, but they would fall and then they'd be like a trampoline.
Yes, I was going to say the trampoline.
And they just bounce back up on the tightrope.
And they just grab the trapeze or some shit and do a flip.
Trapeze, like
and
that.
now they're walking again like,
all right, everyone with Lilith in Sagittarius is a trapeze artist in their life. That is how they...
Let us know if that is your placement, and just put in the comments, I'm a trapeze artist. Like, that would be great.
That's amazing.
Write us a review that says I'm a trapeze artist.
You can also come off kind of self-righteous, like they don't have like typical inhibitions, kind of almost like drunk type of energy.
Drunk
but
energy.
not like, you know what I hope you get what I'm trying to say. So when things come up for her and she needs to kind of like lie or manipulate or gaslight somebody or make it happen, like she can kind of just trust that it'll work out, and just be like confident about it and manifest that thing to work out how it's going to. She obviously also does the work along with it, with all her Capricorn and Mars, like way her other placements work out. But as far as the actual like lie manipulation part goes, I think it does feel very Lilith Sagittarius. Scorpio, she only has Pluto there, so I'm not too concerned about that. There are a couple sextiles to her Lilith placement, one over to Venus and Aquarius, so she can always kind of lean, like when she's trying to pull off a lie, she can always kind of lean on her quirkiness, like her Aquarius nature and like her values in like her Aquarius type values. She can also lean on, get kind of support from, or is that, Oh, it's actually to her vertex, but that's not accurate. So that's the only sextile. There was one.
There was
Sorry.
one.
There was one sextile. I'm so sorry if I disappointed someone.
You disappointed me. Very upset. -1 sextile equals sadness.
So, let's see. If her moon is in Aries, there could be a trine to her moon from this placement, but I'm feeling that Taurus moon. Let's see. Jupiter in Leo, she can also get a lot of that, like, as long as she's confident and plays it right, like, the universe kind of backs her up a little bit.
Yeah, and she really did know exactly how to dress, exactly how to speak, exactly how to act, exactly who to be nice to and who to make feel important. She really did, like, play into that so much. That was her strategy. That's why she was able to be so good at what she did. It's crazy.
It's really incredible.
Yeah, she's impressive, and it's like high five, but also like, maybe not though.
Like don't
it's
do all that though.
Yeah, like I wish this had manifested in a slightly different way. I think she could have been just a great social influencer, and like I don't know, but she still can be.
Right,
she probably will be.
Still is.
She is. I mean,
yeah, it's really something.
It's really something. So the next thing I have on here is how she got caught in like her legal stuff. Do we want to get into that? Do you have any final thoughts on her manipulation? I mean, it still comes up a million times.
Really, just with that Capricorn stellium, with her having North Node, Saturn, Neptune, which can also be kind of like casting an illusion type of thing. Uranus, Mercury, Juno, like all of that in Capricorn, making her, and maybe her moon in Taurus, like just so unquestionable. Like, it makes it hard for people to doubt her. And if they do, they're not going to do it to her face.
Ooh, I like that. And that is a perfect segue into this because Rachel did not do it to her face. Instead, she went behind Anna's back. She worked with the police. She worked with the FBI to set up a sting operation so that they could catch her. Anna had the money that she owed Rachel. So it's like they had a reason to be in contact. Rachel had a reason to talk to her. At this point, Rachel was acting like nothing was wrong, though. So she was still acting like, oh, we're all good. She pretended to be checking in, checking on her friend, asking to hang out, being totally cool with everything. So Anna agreed to meet her. She let her guard down a little bit. And it was at a restaurant in LA, so she had no qualms about it. She just shows up. The police apprehended her before she even arrived. Meanwhile, Rachel was sending her texts the whole time saying, like, oh, what time are you going to be here? Because she was so scared that Anna was going to know it was her. And then she does like a tell-all in interviews. So it's kind of like, why were you so scared for her to know when you do all this big public stuff? But, and she later testifies in court face-to-face with Anna. So it's like a big dramatic face-off. And this was crazy to watch in the courtroom. Like Anna smirked at her and like rolled her eyes a lot and like shook her head like while they were, I mean, it was really, you could feel the cat fight. Like if they had like let it go, like they might have attacked each other. It was really intense.
I might have to go see that. That sounds really intense.
And by the way, these are things you should not do in court. This is how you make a jury fucking hate you. Like you can't have... That's why people are like, oh, well, they didn't have any emotions in court. You are not supposed to. Your attorney will advise you to refrain from showing any intense emotion in any way because you kind of want to be hard to read for the jury. You know, you want them to sympathize with you, but you don't want to be like, oh, well, she was faking that crying. You know, you don't want to overdo it.
You don't want them to dislike you because of the way you presented yourself.
Especially if you're just
also
already...
with clothing and all of that.
Yeah, if you're already...
she has some...
We'll get into her clothing too. If you're already like kind of disingenuous too, like that's what you're known for. Same with like Casey Anthony, another great example. Like, no, you're already a known fucking liar. So we really don't want you like being super emotional in any kind of direction. Like we don't want, because you're not believable in the first place. That's why we're here, because you're a liar. So now in court. So Anna was accused of stealing upwards of $275,000 from banks, hotels, and wealthy socialites who thought she was their friend. She was offered a plea deal, and that would make sure she served anywhere between 3 to 9 years in prison and assume all responsibility for her crimes, but she declined. not interested. She did not take the deal, and she wanted to go to trial for this. And why would somebody do that? Well, she wanted control of her narrative. That is not why most people decide to go to trial. They want to prove their innocence. That wasn't really a concern for her. She more so she said her own words, it was just the only way I could tell my story. Her story. The story is important. Her narrative is everything. So
her priorities.
Yes.
Yeah.
She didn't like what was going around about her. This was her chance to set the record straight, which is not what the court of law is for, but sure. This next part is amazing. This is the clothing part. This part cracks me up. At her request, Anna's defense attorney arranged for a wardrobe stylist to source outfits for her court appearances, which is hilarious. Let's talk about her courtroom style for a minute. I wish we had some visuals. Like, I wish we had, like, a screen that we could just, like, go...
Yeah, maybe we should get a green screen.
Do you want us to get a green screen for those of you?
Kind of nice. It'd be extra setup, but...
For those of you watching on YouTube, because we are on all the platforms, but YouTube has the visual component. So if you're a visual watcher of the podcast...
We could have people do fan art, and we could put it on the green screen.
We will put your fan art on our green screen when we get it. So let us know if you want it, because we will do it. And send us fan art. We would love that. We've never received fan art so far. Do you think we have? Have we?
I feel like one of my friends... Maybe.
I feel like you didn't share it with me. No. I've never seen this fan art. Can't confirm the fan art. So yeah, her courtroom style. On her first day in court, she wore a Michael Kors dress. It's called a shift dress. I don't really know what that means, but that's what it's called.
Oh, yeah. They're like a loose, like, kind of hippie girl vibe, like short, usually above the knee. I think. No. Because I like shift. When I, like, look for clothes, if I look for a dress, I've typed in shift dress. I just like, there's something about the vibe of it I just like. I'm probably not explaining it accurately.
No, I love clothes, and I didn't know that, so that's exciting. I'm going to look up some shift dresses on Amazon.
You would like them.
I feel like I would.
Yeah.
You know what I like. Fashionally. Fashionally? That's not a word.
Nope.
I invented it. Fashionally, you know what I enjoy. So the next day in court, she paired a sheer black Saint Laurent top with a Victoria Beckham trouser. Very chic. Very chic. On the third day of trial, Anna refused to enter the courtroom because she didn't want to show up in her Rikers Island prison clothing. And her civilian outfit for the day had not been pressed. Huge catastrophe. Like, you can't just be showing up in unpressed clothing. Like, no, that's not happening. So she had a total crying meltdown. She delayed trial for an hour and a half, and the judge was ready to punch her in the throat, I feel like, because she was forced to appear, which is really funny. This judge had absolutely no patience. And the strategy of her defense team in the courtroom was so interesting. It was such a choice. Her lawyer argued that Anna's intent all along was to repay her debts. He claimed that many of the services she was accused of stealing were actually given to her in exchange for publicity on her Instagram. So he's like, no, that was a trade. What do you... Yeah. No, she was already owed that. She was promised that.
That's interesting.
He also described her as an entrepreneur with a strong comparison to Frank Sinatra, which is really, really interesting.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
The Sinatra defense. It's like infamously the Sinatra defense now because it was so ridiculous. Basically claiming that this was a golden opportunity in New York, just like Frank Sinatra. Like, she came here with a dream, the American dream.
Who doesn't identify with that?
Yes, she's so relatable. Like, it's so funny. The jury was not convinced. On April 25th, 2019, after deliberating for only 2 days, they found Anna guilty of 8 charges. She initially had 10 coming at her. 8 of them she was found guilty. And these charges included grand larceny in the 2nd degree, attempted grand larceny, and theft of services. Like I said, she was found not guilty of the charge that was related to Rachel Williams. She was not owed her anything. She was also found not guilty of 1 attempted grand larceny in the 1st degree relating to the original loan application with City National Bank. So these are two that was like, no, she didn't do that, but she did do these 8 other things. So, still fucked. She was sentenced 4 to 12 years in prison, which is actually worse than the plea deal that she refused. Not much. It's very similar.
Okay.
That one was, I think, 3 to 9 years, and this one was 4 to 12. So it's, you know, she would have gotten a slightly better deal with the plea, but whatever. She served less than 3 years in prison, so it doesn't matter. Non-violent offender is what we're dealing with here. Yeah. She's like more of like federal crimes than any, you know, violent criminals. I would be pissed if they got out after 3 years. This, I mean, whatever. There's a lot of eyes on her. So that's her court stuff. The next part is all like prison related.
Okay.
So
yeah, for court, I did have a couple thoughts here. Okay. With the dream thing, like I kind of, my ears perked up when you were talking about the dream type of defense, because I feel like for an Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Venus person, like that kind of like a value of like going out and fulfilling a dream, like fulfilling an ideal version of your life, like chasing something like that is just so Aquarius, like that kind of like star.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It felt very like, oh, okay.
She's chasing dreams like Frank Sinatra.
Like Aquarius has a lot to do with aspirations and things like that. So I thought it was interesting. And then let's see. Also, all the how she was more concerned about how her story was told to the masses. Venus and Aquarius. That's her value. Her value was not the court situation as much. It seems like she really valued how she was perceived by everybody on a big scale. Talking to a lot of people on a bigger scale is very like Aquarius air energy. So for her story to be told to everybody, she wanted it to be done the right way. Her Venus is there. It's important to her. Also, the fashion. The fashion, the art. We have time I've kind of waited till now to like really bring it up. She has a little collection of placements that I really think suit this value for her, this value and very like passion of hers. For one, Venus in Aquarius, again, since we're already on that, can really like to portray themselves in a unique way, come off a little bit different, like find a new way to do things. Like it's, as far as also dressing like your Venus sign, like we've talked about, like it really shows kind of what kind of aesthetics you can really value. So she wasn't afraid to dress a little different, like and like stand out for that.
I love that. My Venus is also in Aquarius, and I feel like I definitely have a very quirky. I tend to really lean into vintage and mismatched stuff. It's kind of my jam. But it is that like quirky, like not,
and it's important.
Yeah, I love aesthetics. It's funny. I relate to that part of her chart a lot.
Yeah, that's the way that. And then clothes. Her moon, if it's in Taurus, would also kind of lean into that, like Venus-y ruled energy, as well as wanting it to be luxurious, wanting it to be of high value, like financially. Because she also, even if her moon isn't there, she has Vesta in Taurus. So it is like a deep soul devotion, that kind of indulgent type of energy. She also has Ceres in Libra, which is another Venus-ruled sign. So I think she gets a lot of comfort from her appearances and her aesthetics.
Yeah, the more we talk about it, the more I'm feeling the Taurus moon, because she really did love like luxurious food, luxurious clothing, luxurious travel. Like she leaned into the finer things and like kicking back and enjoying it, like very indulgent behavior, like much more so than like Aries. Now I know I'm changing my vote. I'm going. All right, totally changing my vote to Taurus moon.
The last thing I put on here.
You sold it.
I really sold it, everybody.
Are you convinced now? Did you start one way and now flip?
Yeah, I gotta know if you guys could let us know. It'd be great. Also, last thing, Jupiter and Leo, like wanting to be more expressive, and that'll show up in the way she dresses as well. The Cancer stellium, or not really stellium, I don't know, it's like South Node, Chiron, Pholus. Something with Cancer, sometimes I feel like they really like feel into aesthetics. Capricorn wants to look professional. She has a lot of Capricorn placements. But as far as love of fashion, those first 4 or 5 placements I mentioned, I think are really interesting for her.
She's interesting all around.
Yeah.
So do we want to know what she's up to now? We're kind of moving into more present time. We're going to talk about prison. So she did serve her sentence. She finished it out at Rikers Island. She walked out of prison on February 11th, 2022, which is like 2 months ago.
Wow.
So she's done. She said it was very exciting to be out. She was really happy. The first thing they handed her was her bronzer. I watched a video of it, like live, her leaving prison. That was the first thing she got was bronzer. So she's like getting her aesthetics taken care of. She gets right back on social media, Instagram and Twitter specifically. She was ready to get back to her life. Like it was not like, it was no missteps.
Like,
Nothing's wrong.
I'm ready. Let's go.
That's she's very adaptable. She's going right back into her life. And then in an interview before her sentencing, this is one of my favorite things Anna quotes. She said, "I'd be lying to you and to everyone else and even to myself if I said I was sorry for anything." Direct quote. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Had to include that in here. So with the fines and everything, like she was fined $24,000. She was ordered to pay restitution of $199,000 to the impacted parties that she stole from. These amounts, about $75,000 in legal fees related to the trial, and they were all paid for through the proceeds of her Netflix deal. She profited $320,000. So the leftover money, about $22,000, the court allowed her to keep that, so no problem. While she was in custody, she actually had 13 infractions for misbehavior, but she was let out early on good behavior. So this is a contradiction that I found in my research. So they said like disobeying orders and some fighting, but when she talks about it, she says that she was really chill in prison and had celebrity status. But then I found reports saying that she was in solitary confinement during Christmas, like that she was causing problems. So I don't know which version is true. With her, you never know if what she's saying is actually like where the truth lies, like it's in there somewhere. So she was housed initially at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility before she was transferred, and then of course being released. After her release, again, getting right back on social media, putting her bronzer on, going into her things, she checked into the Nomad Hotel. She hired a German camera crew to follow her and film her activities. Is anyone surprised by this? That's the first thing she does is like, get this on film. Let's see my life. Which I feel like that could be a reality show. Like I would watch, I would fucking watch it. Like I would. I couldn't help myself. I need to know. She's so fascinating. What is she going to do next? Like her story is not over. Because 6 weeks after her release on parole, I'm sorry, this was this is in 2021, not 2022. I'm a year off. Pardon me on that. Don't come for me. I realize my error now. So right at about a year ago, she was taken back into custody by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, ICE, for fucking up and overstaying her visa. So it's just like even funnier that was the thing. She could have just gone on with her life nonchalant, but she forgot to do this one like big major thing.
Like an important thing.
And now she's like back in custody. So the audacity of not getting that done is also like crazy to me. She's currently held in a New Jersey county jail by ICE, awaiting deportation to Germany, and she is legally contesting this. More hot Anna news. This is in 2022. We're getting closer to current timeline. Okay. In January of 2022, she tested positive for COVID-19 in prison. She was placed in quarantine. An immigration judge ruled that if Anna was freed, she would have the ability and the inclination to continue to commit fraudulent and dishonest acts. So no one trusts her. That's just so interesting. So like a month ago, March 1st, 2022, Anna joined a class action lawsuit filed by the American Civil Liberties Union. She alleges that ICE refused multiple requests for a COVID-19 booster shot. So she's like all about vaccinations. She's pro-vax. She received 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in April of 2021, and she's relentless about everything she decides to focus on, I think. Like, where she's like, oh yeah, well, I want my booster shot, and I'm going to cause a scene until I get it. Like, she makes demands. She's not afraid to make demands. Also, her fame has, of course, really taken off. And she boasts about that in her interviews, about how like she was never treated badly. She got all the celebrity status. This whole thing really fed her ego a whole lot. She loves being famous. So she also, the Son of Sam law came into play with the Netflix deal, which is kind of interesting. We have covered Son of Sam on this podcast. So this law was passed after the Son of Sam murders. And it prohibits people who are convicted of a crime to profit from publicity. So it just made every bit of this like really crazy. She also, this is another funny thing she did a year ago. Just fun shit she's been doing. Like I like knowing like what's she up to outside of the documentary. She sent a sarcastic letter to Donald Trump where she anticipated that he would eventually become a prisoner at Rikers Island just like her. And that's pretty fucking funny. I want to read the letter. I like it. It's hilarious. She also reportedly had an unidentified boyfriend in New York for 2 years. So until he moved to United Arab Emirates, I spelled this out phonetically so I would get it right. She kept his actual identity a secret, but she said that she would disclose a few things. He gave TED Talks. And he was profiled in the New Yorker. So it's someone important, it's someone noteworthy, and I'm curious.
She would drop those kind of hints too. Fascinating.
But she'll reveal his identity for a fee. The bidding starts at $10,000. She's savage as fuck. Like, seriously.
This is amazing.
Yeah, you could pay $10,000 to find out who her boyfriend was if you want. She knows how to profit from everything.
I love it.
She started investing in technology and cryptocurrency in 2019. So she's into, of course, like Aquarius, feels Aquarius kind of stuff. And her aspirations have included running an investment firm, which are you going to give her your money? I feel like that's probably not the best move. Probably consult someone, get some second opinions if you're thinking about investing with her. Sounds like a terrible plan. And since the world found out about her story, she's been the subject of a number of TV shows, including an episode of American Greed by CNBC. Love that show. An episode of Generation Hustle by HBO Max 2020, which we already talked about. 60 Minutes, which I watched. It doesn't end there. She was the subject of a fake heiress drama documentary podcast by a journalist. There was a play written about her and released by BBC Radio. Radio? I don't know. That came out weird. In late July and early August of 2021, Anna X, a stage play, was inspired by her story. So she's like, I want to see the Anna musical. Like, Anna the musical coming soon. Maybe we should start the musical. Like, if nobody's done it yet, we are going to go ahead and claim it as our side project. We will be releasing an Anna musical this time next year.
I feel like it could be really good, actually.
I would fucking love to be in it and to watch it both.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, the 9-episode Netflix series, if you haven't watched it yet, super entertaining. That was released in February 2022. And it is still in the top 5 most watched programs on Netflix. And it was at the very top the week it was released. So, future plans. What's she trying to do next?
Ooh, I have one more thing.
Say it.
So, she recently is doing this boyfriend thing reveal situation.
Boyfriend reveal.
Her Venus is at the spot in Aquarius where Saturn is currently. Also some other things. like we also had Venus go through there recently and Mars and stuff. But I think it's extra interesting how like her restricting information on her love life is happening during the Saturn transit and making it like such a big deal.
Whoa.
Yeah, like Saturn's moving over her Venus and she's like, I'm not going to tell you guys who I'm with. Like, I'm going to restrict that information. I wish I knew what house was this one again. But, yeah. Juno's also there. So, like, commitment, like someone she's committed to.
That's so interesting.
Like, also people would have to be really committed to find out that information with Juno and Saturn.
I love it.
They got to spend lots of money.
They got to spend lots of money. So other Anna plans. Remember earlier I was saying like I would totally watch a reality show? Well, there's talks of it. She apparently this year has signed a deal to star in a reality television series about life after prison. She's also working on a book about her time in jail and a podcast. Are you ready for a mic drop moment? She's actually going to be our new co-host for this podcast. No. Surprise!
I was going to be so excited.
Surprise, I forgot to tell you. I've been in close contact.
We've been DMing.
I've been writing her letters in prison for years. And I sent her one of her outfits she wore in court. All this is fucking fake as fuck lies. But if you say it confidently.
From the show?
You what?
It says real. It's real except for the parts that aren't.
That are totally made up. It's all true except for the parts that are completely made up, like the last section where I said she was going to be on this podcast. But I am going to watch that fucking reality show, like for sure. Man. I'm interested.
If she wants to do a Sun Moon Rising interview, we're down.
Anna, if you're watching this, please let us know. We are interested in all things. Yeah, we want to do that. So now this is just the quote section, which is probably my favorite part because I made a running quote list of all the funniest things she said, which I've dropped a few of them already, but this was kind of
I'm excited.
My favorites. Okay, and then when asked who is the real Anna DELVEY, she responds with, "Now that's a loaded question." That's literally her answer.
That's a perfect answer.
Boy, that is a tough one. Again, more words people use to describe her were charismatic, charming, quirky, which we already said, and a go-getter. Her bio on social media is incredible. She's so funny. She's good at marketing. She says that she's a professional defendant. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's just... Okay, now in 60 Minutes interview, they asked her, this is so funny. Okay.
I keep trying to read it.
I know, it's so funny. So they asked her if she felt bad about the people who got burnt along the way. And she replied, I actually had to go back and like listen to it several times to make sure I got it word for word because it was so funny. Can you name me the names of the people and I'll tell you if I feel bad about them?
Like, let's break this down.
Give me a list and I will review. She's really funny. Like, she's witty. She is very funny. So she's, again, like gaslighting everybody or she genuinely believes this. And it's both.
Yeah.
But another really great quote, because she doesn't believe she conned anyone. So I wasn't like a ladder climber. I was just doing whatever I wanted at the time. 100%. 100% that's what you were doing, girl. That's the most honest thing she's ever said.
Because what she wants is also lined up with climbing the ladder.
Yep.
So,
and then
like her own ladder in her own way. Aquarius.
Her own ladder.
It's her own way of doing it, but yeah.
And final quote that's just really funny. She also said that she felt that rich people or the people at the top were not very smart or talented. So I can do that. She's not wrong.
She's
like, there's nothing extraordinary about these people who are living these, like the Kardashians. She's looking at that going, what do they do? What do they do? I could just be professionally like walking around being fierce. Like I can do that.
Yeah, most people in high up positions, I'm always surprised once I really see what they do. I'm like, oh, that's not, you made it sound like it was like something crazy impossible and it's really not.
And I think one of my favorite things about her being able to portray this character is how plain looking she is. Like, she's not this exotic beauty like a Kardashian, and she's not this like super sexed up kind of girl. Like, she's very normal, which is relatable. Like, she's a normal, like, she looks like just any girl on the street. Like, you wouldn't really notice her, I don't think. If just walking.
Depends on how she's dressed. You know, how she dresses it up, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I have on my notes. So, like, finishing touches on charting right now. Like, unleash everything you want to say about anything we haven't talked about.
You act like I've got this little reservoir that
you
I've
do.
been holding
You've
back.
you're holding out on me. I can feel it. I want you to give me this Anna juice right now.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I made it weird. I'm sorry. I turned it into something else.
I feel like I've talked about most of her chart. Let's see.
Any final thoughts? What was your favorite Anna quote? I'm interested in knowing.
Favorite Anna quote? Probably that one. It just reminded me, even just the phrasing of it. Like, I'm not like a ladder climber. The way that it's phrased, I just think is so
Yeah, we'll read it one more time. Let's see. I'm not a ladder climber. I wasn't like a ladder climber. I was just doing whatever I wanted at the time.
I think that's definitely my favorite. But I also like that she wants people, the one where she's got to like have people call everyone by name.
Can you name me the names
and she'll
of the
let
people?
you know.
And I'll let you know if I feel bad about them.
Yeah. Those are top tier for me.
Please provide a list and I'll let you know. I'll put a yes and a no by each name. I want to see who the no's are and who the yes. I'm curious of like who she's.
Yeah.
I feel like she's not sorry for anybody because she says that very plainly as well in here. Like, I'd be lying to you and myself and everyone else if I said I felt bad about any of this because I feel great about it. Like, she's confidence.
One other thing I can say about her chart, I don't think I said this when I talked about her Mars placement, is that her Mars in Gemini is great for multitasking. I feel like she was probably doing a bunch of things at once with her workflow. Also having the trine to her, there's the trine up to her Sun, Saturn, and North Node, but also the trine over to her Pallas in Virgo, and being able to make these little incremental decisions to make things work out. Like Virgo can be very tedious and very like detail oriented, so I think that served her. Like, she has this wisdom about detail
because she knew how to like float money from one thing to the next to like keep up the appearance and like keep it all running. While behind the scenes it was like Meltdown City, but like on the surface she was like knew exactly which moves to make, like a chess game.
Yeah, all these detail and things. Like, people would talk about her, right? How like even like it was so believable because of the detail she put into how she operated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very intelligent. I am interested to see what she does next. Like, we need to keep doing updates about her, like for Patreon and everything. We'll just keep a close eye on her because I feel like she's gonna do so much more. Like, we're gonna keep seeing her.
Yeah.
So
how does that work with her doing like a podcast and all of these things related to with the Son of Sam situation, like, you know, the law?
Yeah, because I'm not sure, because she was able to get paid for the Netflix deal, but this whole thing did come up. It did bring up that law and that whole, like, you can't profit off of this, but they let her pay back all the people she owed money to with it. So it feels like that was, maybe it's a certain percentage even that she can and can't profit.
And then, like, if you achieve fame because of what you did, then is everything you do after that tied to? I
don't think so. Because as long as, like, I mean, she's really at this point, like, here's my life now. Like, life after prison, like, life after lockup is a show. You know what I mean? Like, you can legally be like, this is me readjusting to society. This is what I'm doing post that.
Even though nobody would care if you hadn't done anything.
Exactly. It's very interesting, and we're all guilty because we're feeding the beast by being interested, like we're doing it right now by talking about her.
I mean, you could say that about any court case ever.
Absolutely.
Like, people even back in the day that would just go to the trial to see it.
Just to watch it.
That's a whole controversial topic. So.
Yeah.
But probably people watching this aren't going to be
it's just
worried about it.
It's just so interesting. There's always going to be a public fascination with things that are a little bit seedy, and we love controversy. We love scandal.
We want to figure it out. We want to educate ourselves.
Scandal is as old as time. We've always been interested in it. That's actually kind of what newspapers were founded on. Like, oh, we want to talk about the scandal. And that was like, oh, today's hot scandal. Extra, extra. Get it in the streets. Like,
know what's going on and know what's going on.
And it's all dramatized. And it's all like this big production. And we, as a society, as a culture, especially in America, I feel like we're probably the guiltiest of all the societies of really kind of being interested in the celebrity kind of status for people. And like, she has absolutely achieved that at this point. If you have a Netflix special, you're a celebrity. It's crazy. Speaking of other celebrities who've had specials, hers was Hulu, but season 1, episode 4, we covered Gypsy Rose Blanchard and Dee Blanchard, and Gypsy will be out of prison in the next like year and a half. So she's going to be another one that we'll probably want to do updates on and watch and see like what's she going to do when she gets out of prison. Is it going to be something similar where she has like a reality show, or like how do you rebuild your life? And she's never given an education or skills or anything. So like, what's she going to do? Is she going to be the next social media star? I feel like we could see some similarities maybe. They're about the same age too. They're both like young 20-somethings. Well, she's older now. But
I'm trying to think about like what kind of brand deals she would get.
I know.
Like, I know that's
but it's so
dark humor in me, but like
it's interesting to think about, because that is kind of where our culture has shifted. When you have like big events in the limelight, like you can get a deal, you can get a book deal, you can get a Netflix deal, like achieve some sort of fame, status, celebrity, and become an influencer even when you've done something like really bad. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna keep our eye on her. We don't, let's all keep our eyes on her in case she opens an investment firm. And if you consider investing with her, let us know. We want to know your sun, moon, rising. We want to know about you if you want to invest with Anna. And we want to know why. Why do you trust this?
It's tempting in a way.
It's tempting, because I feel like she is going to be really, probably successful because she's got all that drive. I don't know. We'll see. Well, that is Anna DELVEY, Anna SOROKIN, Anna SOROKIN, Anna Faris. What? No, not her. She's a fantastic spoof actress, though. I love Anna Faris. But we hope you enjoyed that story. If you're still here, you absolutely enjoyed yourself. So you might as well tell all your friends and family. Share this podcast with everybody you know. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you have rated, reviewed, all the things.
Go shout it from the rooftops.
Let the people know. Follow us on social media. Check out our TikTok, our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook. All these places have all things dark alignment. We try to give you some fun content there. Merch, Patreon, all that good shit. darkalignmentpodcast.com. Get on there. Get our behind the scenes footage. It's a great time. We can confirm, and so can our patrons. Shout out to all of our amazing patrons. We love you, and we love all of you for listening. So thank you, and good night.
Night.
Good night. Bye. Good